Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at some of the new cards announced for Shadowverse's new expansion coming out in just a few days. They have uploaded the cards to their official website, or at least some of them. I do know this isn't all of them, but this is the ones that they've officially confirmed with official translations and so on, so we're going to do those first, and I am going to rate them out of 5, so no doubt everyone can come back to the video later and tell me how wrong I was. So let's get to it. We've got the first section, and I believe maybe the most cards revealed for a class so far, which is Forestcraft. At the moment, Forestcraft is pretty much all revolved around the Roach deck, doing some OTK combos in the late game, or mid to late game, depending on how you want to phrase it. But yeah, let's take a first look here. We have a couple of legendaries and 2 gold cards. So let's look at the first one, Titania, Queen of the Fairies. This, of course, is a legendary, as I mentioned. It's a 4-cost 2/2 with Fanfare, summon a fairy, and gain a crest, Titania, Queen of Fairies. And then evolve, select an enemy following the field, and transform it into a fairy, which is pretty nice, honestly, because again, as far as I'm aware, if you transform something into a fairy, it's a 1/1, right? And it means you can just like delete cards with just a normal evolve effect. So this card, I feel, is very, very strong. When we look at the crest as well, at the start of your turn, add a fairy to your hand. This seems super powerful and may open the doors to other styles of deck other than Roach, with like Opulent Rose Queen being able to just generate fairies which turn into the 1-cost deal 3s spells after you've played her. But yeah, I like this card a lot, honestly. I think it's really strong. Of course, it's a 4 energy 2/2. Or 4 play points 2/2. I'm going to do that. I play too many card games. So playing it itself on its by itself is relatively weak. But honestly, with the tempo from the evolve, obviously it'll make it a 4/4 with rush, and you can turn something to a fairy. It's not so bad. But that crest just being something you just have, I believe it's because it doesn't say a cooldown, it is just every single turn for the rest of the game. This seems really, really, really strong. So I think I'm going to rate this. Again, this is with no knowledge of all the other cards coming out. Obviously, we only see what we can see. But just at what I think so far, I think I'd put this at a 4 out of 5. I think it's not completely mind-blowing, which would what a 5 out of 5 would be, but for this, I think the effect's so powerful, it's easily a 4 out of 5, and I am certain we are going to see it played throughout, the expansion for sure. Let's just press the evolve button as well. They look the same, kind of, different color, different sort of angle, but more or less the same. Okay, let's move on to the next card, which is it Limaga? Untamed Wild, another legendary. 7-cost 7/7 with Fanfare. Select 2 enemy followers on the field and give them can't attack followers or leaders until the end of your opponent's turn. This is pretty powerful in itself. This just, you get, if anything becomes awkward to leave up or you can't fully clear a board, you can just say nope to 2 of the minions there, or followers, sorry. And they just won't be able to attack. You know you're safe from those at least. So not a bad Fanfare. Of course, cost 7/7. Not crazy stats, but not bad. And then the Super Evolve effect is select 2 enemy followers on the field and give them, at the end of each turn, deal 1 damage to your leader and 2 damage to this follower. So of course you give that to them, so that it does 1 damage to their leader and 2 damage to the follower. Now the big idea here, I imagine, is you can get 2 waves of this, right? Oh, maybe even more actually, because there'll be 3 turns. So there's the turn you do it, and then your turn ends, because it says at the end of each turn, it'll deal 1 damage to the opponent, to your opponent's leader, and it'll deal 2 damage to the followers you've targeted. Also, they could be the followers that then you make can't attack. They can be the same targets as far as I'm aware, and it'll deal 2 damage to them as well. Then their turn happens, and unless they can bounce them or kill them off somehow or something, they also can't attack. So then you take another damage from each follower, and they take another 2. Then it comes back to you and you do it again. So this, again, actually seems very strong and a really good tool for maybe a more late game and control focused forest, which I think I'm more excited to play, because I'll be honest, Roach breaks my brain sometimes. So I think for me, I'll give this, it's pretty late though. I think I'll give this one a 3 out of 5, because a lot of the time, even though, yes, you can stall out opponents' followers, you don't really want to leave stuff on the board anyway. And in some matchups, it could be a bit of a problem if there's like cards with like passive effects or, things like that. So it could be a little bit tricky. I don't think this is as good as Titania for me, but I'll give this a 3 out of 5. Now, moving on. We've got Cynthia, Chivalrous Elf. This is a gold card. 4 cost 4/3, so not terrible stats. Fanfare, summon 2 copies of Fairy, and again, these are 1/1s with Rush. And then Evolve, give all allied Pixie followers on the field +1 attack. So this is kind of like Zirconia from Sword, but you don't need to evolve it. It's got a little bit less stats, and the Evolve effect isn't as good. However, just as a flat card without having to evolve, you play a 4 cost 4/3 and have 2 1/1s to rush in as well, is pretty nice as far as I'm concerned. And again, with, for example, some of the other crests you can get, those fairies could end up having Storm instead, which is pretty strong. I can see this being mass played. Again, maybe not in the Roach decks, but in any other forest. I'm actually going to give this a 5, honestly. I think this card's so good as just a good body. You can evolve if you need to, but it just creates a lot of stuff on the board. And I feel like, maybe this is my sword brain speaking, but like boards in a box, I think are very, very strong. So I'm actually going to go out there and give Cynthia a 5. I think it's going to be a very popular card. And then finally, for Forest, we have a 2 cost spell, which is called Garden's Allure. Draw a card for 2. If you fuse to this card, draw 2 instead. So I think you either will have the option to fuse. It says fuse Forestcraft card. So you can fuse a card, and I imagine this is exactly the same as when you're playing Artifact for Portalcraft, where you basically just say, click this, click a fuse, and then you can just pick any forest card to fuse this to, and it will draw 2 instead. So you can potentially sacrifice a fairy to this card and then draw 2 for 2. I don't know if Forest needs this, but again, I'm imagining a world where you're not playing the combo deck, where with the Roach. So if you're not playing some of the amulets that let you draw more, like Godwood Staff, then this could just be great card draw. You can just throw away a fairy and draw 2 for 2, which is pretty good, I would say. At worst case, it cycles itself. So I think this is going to be decent. I think I'll put this in there as a 3 out of 5. Okay, next up we have Sword. Swordcraft is one of, if not the class I played the most. So let's see what they've got. They've got Gildaria, Anathema of Peace. Sorry guys, I should have looked up how to pronounce this. Not really a word I say too often, to be honest. It's a legendary 6 cost 4/4 with Fanfare, Rally 20, Super Evolve this follower, and also has whenever another allied follower enters the field, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. And when this follower evolves, so it can be super or regular, summon 2 copies of Steelclad Knight and give them Rush. So there's layers. First off, what is Rally? Can we click this and find out? We cannot. Rally is basically every card or every follower you summon or create or play throughout a game adds to a rally counter. So basically, you need to have summoned or played 20 things, not spells, just followers, on your side of the board for this to have an effect, right? And obviously we'll have other rally cards, no doubt, that, rally 10, rally 15, rally 30, whatever. This card is quite good because you can just normal evolve this on 6, and what you end up with is a 6/6 rush. You'll summon 2 Steelclad Knights that have rush, and you will have dealt 2 AoE damage to your opponent's followers. So a really good defensive sort of AoE play. Now, in terms of the rally is obviously strong. You get a free super evolve. However, bear in mind, 20, I feel, is a bigger number than people think it is. Everyone's like, oh, you can get there turn 7 or turn 8. That's under the assumptions that your draws are perfect on curve. Probably that you evolve a Zirconia, and that like everything you do is clean to generate the most followers. Because there are some turns where you have to play off curve. you know, you might have to play Valse on turn 4 because they've got something that's highly aggressive and you need to shoot it. Suddenly, you're not perfectly summoning followers, right? So just bear that in mind. I think assume the fanfare rally is going to go off if this is like turn maybe 8, 9 and 10 and onwards, like late game. But realistically, I think this is more than good enough to just play in Sword. It gives another good 6-drop option. You can obviously use your extra play point into this, which would be nice. You've got AoE and board presence with the Evolve, which is really, really nice overall. There's also nice things with like last words of the like Coachwoman, for example. You can trade, and then that leaves that like dies and summons a 1/1, which will then deal 1 AoE. So I think this is very, very, very good. I'm gonna put this at a I think all Sword are gonna run this unless maybe you're hyper aggro. Maybe. So I think I have to give Gildaria a 5 out of 5 because I just think you need a great excuse to not put this in a Sword deck. Okay, next up, we have Urias 11 Authority. This is an 8-cost 5/7, a legendary again. Fanfare, summon 2 copies of Knight. You can see on the right here, Knight's a 0-cost 1/1. And it's got an interesting text here. Whenever an enemy follower enters the field, summon 2 enemy copies of Knight. Apologies, I wasn't clear enough there. We're going to get into why now. So you summon 2 of those for your opponent. Whenever an enemy follower enters a field, give it can't attack followers or leaders until the end of your opponent's turn. So next turn, they're basically 2 1/1s that are on the board. They can't really do anything until the end of your opponent's next turn. Deal 1 damage to the enemy leader and restore 1 defense to your leader. Now, I saw some confusion about this, but the important thing is it's written in a tricky way, but the way I understand this, tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, is the followers can't attack followers or leaders. Then you delete this part of the discussion, and because that's attached to like these knights just for a second, and whenever the enemy follower enters the field, give it a can't attack. So enemies they play, they can't attack till the end of your opponent's turn. If they play any on their following turn that you've played Urias, it basically removes Storm and Rush from being a thing. So even if the follower has Rush, it won't be able to attack. But they'll press end turn, and then business as usual for their next turn. But each time an enemy follower enters, still it says, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader and restore 1 defense to your leader. So if Urias is alive, and they're playing followers to try and kill Urias, they're taking 1 damage for each follower they play, and they're healing 1 to you as well. So this card seems very, very strong. However, the only problem is, if you play this, you, as far as I, again, can tell, you give them 2 1/1s they can't attack with, deal 2 damage to them, and heal 2 to you. That's fine. But then if their response is it's one of the classes that just has direct removal, or they play Divine or whatever to just kill it, then you've spent 8 and maybe even super evolved it to trade, probably, maybe. And you've given them 2 1/1s, you've dealt 2 and healed 2. So it's good, don't get me wrong, but in any class that has just spot removal where they don't have to play followers, then it's going to get dealt with fairly easily, I think, at least. Maybe I'm wrong. I think for me, this is going to be a 3 out of 5. I think it's good. I think clogging your opponent's board is good most of the time. But in anything with spot removal, I think he's going to struggle. This might just be like a 1 or 2 of in the deck, if at all. We'll see. Finally, as well for Sword, we have a gold card, Prim, Princess's Picnic. This is a 2-cost 1/1. Fanfare, add a Nonja Silent Maid to your hand. We'll get that in a second. It's got Ambush, so it is effectively in stealth. It can't be targeted. And then it has Super Evolve. Give all other allied followers on the field +1/+1. I think the Super Evolve might be a bit niche. It might get you lethals with like certain late game boards where you've just happened to stick some some followers down and you can buff them for lethal. That's fine. But the thing to look at here is who Nonja is. So basically it's 2 cost, add a Nonja to your hand. This is Nonja. It's a 2 cost 2/2 with Fanfare, if there's an allied Prim on the field, give this follower +1/1 and Bane, so it becomes a 3/3 with Bane, and it has Ward. So I think these combined, and this is probably going to be on the field because it's hidden, right, with Ambush. This is fine. It's, I guess, good value, and Bane's okay, but because it doesn't have Rush from this, I feel like it's pretty low priority. So I think for me, unless I'm missing something, this doesn't seem that good compared to the other stuff you want to do in Sword. So I think I'll give this a 2 out of 5 for me. I'll be surprised if this is super common. Okay, next up we have Runecraft. This is another class I've played a lot of, but there's only 2 cards so far. First we have Lilanthem. 8 cost 5/5 with Aura, which means it can't be targeted in any way. It can only be like traded into with a follower or any effects that don't target anything specific. Last words, Earthright 2, summon a Lilanthem, and Super Evolve, select 2 enemy followers on the field and destroy them. So basically, as long as you have Dirt or Earthright, whatever, as long as you have more than 2, and you probably want a stack of this is kind of an infinite follower, right? An infinite legendary, whatever. There are some problems where like an Orth, I was gonna say Orthis then. Is that wrong? I'm just forgetting the name. I say card names too often. The puppet, right? Where you can just keep playing and they have Bane and you can just keep trading into this to just rip through the Earthright sigils. But if that isn't the case, this can be kind of hard to deal with, and also because it is likely to die on your opponent's turn, if they don't completely clear it and it resummons itself, then you can attack with it again on your turn, right? So even though I don't think this is mega powerful, it's an option for, and I assume we'll have more Earthright generators in this expansion. It's an option as another kind of win condition for Runecraft. Because at the moment, there's like the Cocytus, Dimension Climb, there's Dimension Climb in itself, and then there's kind of just overwhelming with Anon Grey and Kuon. But this could be a good, I'll maybe play one of these and have an option. Sometimes you slam it down and it's just a pain for your opponent to deal with and clear. So maybe this is good. I'll probably put this as a 3 out of 5 with an option of it increasing depending on how good the Earthright generation is. Next up, we have the second card, which is Pascal's Dance. 2 cost spell, gain an Earth Sigil, there we go, and gain Crest, Pascal's Dance. Cooldown 1. At the end of your turn, draw a card. So you draw a card at worst. And Earthright 10, double the attack and defense of all allied followers on this field. So this is a confusing one for me. I'll need someone to explain this a little bit better. My assumption is you play this, and whenever you get to Earthright 10, does it then proc as long as the crest is still up? Like, does it last the turn you played it, and it's active the turn after, and then it goes away? Or is this only work the turn you play it? Because if it only works the turn you play it being a crest feels a little bit weird. So I think it'll last till the following turn, and then obviously you want 10 Earthright to then hit hard. I think this feels like it's going to be quite difficult to set up. It requires a lot of Earthright with 10 for it to proc. I guess it's 2 cost draw a card to an extent, and you gain an Earth Sigil. Maybe that's acceptable enough in Runecraft, but I would be surprised. I think for me, even though the effect seems powerful, right now I would put this at a 1 out of 5. I can't imagine wanting to run this, but this is definitely a card where you need to see it in action, see how good it is. Next up, we have Dragoncraft. Dragoncraft I've been playing a little bit lately. We have Feline, White Frost Bloom, 2 cost 2/2 with Fanfare. If you're in Overflow, add a White Frost Whisper to your hand. It also does have Bane, and it has Evolve, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. Pretty flexible card. It just does a lot of things, right? It's legendary, of course. And then we see oh, that's just the Evolve, sorry. And then we see White Frost Whisper. So you get this if you play it when you're in Overflow. It's a 3 cost where you can select a mode, destroy all damaged enemy followers, or increase the cost of all cards in your opponent's hand by 1 until the end of their turn. This feels decent to me. It's not mind-blowing, But having this as a potential early drop to fend off aggression could be good. And then late game, because you know it's 2/2 for 2 and it has Bane, and you can evolve it to do 1 AoE, which can be quite nice. But then in the late game, it also has another use where you can either mess with your opponent's combo turn, mess with the ability for your opponent to play things on curve, like if they're going into their, 9 cost turn, you can stop them playing like Albert, for example, and stuff like that. Or you can play it, evolve, deal the 1 AoE damage, and then this follows up to destroy all followers. So even though I don't think it's, going to change the game, I do think this will be played quite a lot because it has an early game plan and it's still decent to draw late game. So it has that value to it. So I think I'd give this a 4 out of 5. Next up, we have Draconic Strike. Very interesting, 6 cost spell. Select a card in your hand and reduce its cost by 2. Deal 3 damage to all enemy followers. So it's a smaller AoE than the 6 cost, deal 5 to everything, but you basically ramp for 2 for 1 card in the following turn. You can do this, I guess, in the same turn if you've got more play points. But overall, this is a good on-curve anti-aggro tool that then might let you get something big out, especially if you play this with your extra point or ramp into it on, say, turn 5. Then you can have something that maybe costs 8 and play it that turn and be pretty powerful, maybe Guyana or something. So yeah, Draconic Strike I think is going to be good. There's a worry that it might be a little bit slow, but with ramp you might be okay. So I think for me, this could beat Super Evolve Timers as well, maybe. I'm going to be safe. I'll give this a 3. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I'll give this a 3 out of 5. I think it's going to be good, but there's a lot of times where it's not going to feel too good, right? Anything with more than 3 health, you're in trouble. It's not a good turn. It is AoE, but it's pretty expensive. So yeah, I think I'll just 3 out of 5. I think above average for sure. Next up is Abyss. We have Ginsetsu and Yuzuki Twin Calamities. 9 cost, 5/9. And most Abyss right now are just topping out at Cerberus, so this is taking it a bit further. It has Fanfare, select a mode to activate. Summon 4 copies of One-Tailed Fox, which is this. 2 cost, 2/3 with Rush and Ward. And when they have Last Word, they give a random allied Ginsetsu and Yuzuki +1 attack, so it'll buff you this when it dies. Or you can destroy 4 random enemy followers and it always restores 4 defense to your leader, right? Because this is not in here. I think this is just an always happen thing. I think this card's very good. Whether Abyss wants to play a 9-drop is another question, but you don't need an evolve. You can make a board of taunts to stop some aggression from your opponent, or if your opponent's already winning on board, you can pretty much delete the whole board and you heal, and then on top of it, obviously if you want to, you can super evolve it, and it's pretty tanky as a 5/9, so I like this a lot. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5, and I could be completely off base. Yes, if in this expansion Abyss is all aggro, it's not going to see much play. But I think just the card quality without a requirement to evolve is huge here. So I like this one a lot. And then next up, I think it's one of the newer cards revealed. This is Laura, Cruel Commander. 3 cost, 3/2. Fanfare, select another allied follower on the field and give it Bane. Very good for Abyss with all the tokens. And then Super Evolve, select another allied follower on the field and give it Storm. Now, oh no, this is fine. Yeah, it can't give itself Storm and it can't give itself Bane, is my understanding from it saying another. Again, Shadowverse experts, let me know in the chat, in the comments if I'm right. But a 3 cost to give something Storm on Super Evolve, obviously, but also just the base Fanfare of give something Bane, feels like it's probably going to be good enough to be played. I think I'll give this, it's a pretty straightforward card. I think I'll give this a 3 out of 5. I don't think it's completely busted, but just giving a token Bane and then you having the 3/3 sat there, and then maybe later you want to super evolve it if it sticks around. Maybe it's good enough. Maybe it opens up some combos with like, what? Elephant costs 7, right? 7 costs 10/10. So maybe you give that Storm in the late game and win. I don't know. We'll see. But overall, I think this is a 3 out of 5. Pretty solid card. Next up, we have my first love with Shadowverse, which is Haven. I played this a lot at the beginning. I love the playstyle, so let's see how it goes. We've got Aether, Inferior Guardian, 7 cost, 2/4. Fanfare summon 3 random, differently named followers that cost 3 or less from your deck, and it has Ward. Super Evolve, give all other allied followers on the field +2 health and Aura. This card seems great. It just summons a board from your deck, which is then thinning your deck as well. You know that you can curate your deck so that you kind of have a good estimate of what's going to be pulled, so you can sort of fix that to be quite strong. And there are some really good low-cost followers. You give, and they're all. Then you'd imagine they're going to super evolve to then give them health and aura, which makes the board very, very sticky indeed. And this has ward as well to help with taunt synergy. I like this a lot. I think I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I think this is just going to be a good, just chuck stuff on the board, be a bit aggressive. Something that Haven, outside of a couple of followers, kind of struggles to do. Next up, we have the Lord, Wilbert, Desolate Paladin. This card seems great. 6 cost 4/6. Ward, last words, summon 2 copies of Holy Cavalier, which I'll just show you quickly. 1 cost 1/2 with Ward. Oh, let me go back a second. And then on Evolve, which is the main reason you are probably running this card, gain Crest, Wilbert, Desolate Paladin. This crest is permanent. Whenever an allied follower with Ward enters the field, give it +1/+2. So the idea, you play this, evolve it, you get the crest, then it's not only going to last words summon 2 copies of this, but they end up being 2 4s with ward, but then any wards for the rest of the game have +1/+2. This seems so strong if you get it down on curve that it has to be a 5 out of 5 for me. I'm very excited to try Wilbert out, and there's even concern I've seen from Shadowverse 1 that ward Haven has been a nightmare in the past. Maybe this is the beginning. Now we jump over to Portalcraft, one of my most despised classes because it feels so strong right now. Only 1 card for this so far is a gold Carnelia, Ember of Darkness, 2 cost 2/2. Fanfare, of course, it adds a Gear of Remembrance to your hand. Evolve, select an artifact follower in your hand and give it ward and can't be destroyed by abilities. An artifact follower, as you can probably see down the right here, are basically all these. One interesting thing is, if there's probably not going to happen so often, but you can get the Masterwork, the Voltron, or whatever you want to call it, and with the evolve on this, give it, well, it already has ward, but then can't be destroyed by abilities, would be kind of strong as well. Although, hang on, what's an ability? Is a spell count as an ability? I'll have to check on that one, I'm not sure. That might be completely random, but it doesn't matter. Either way, probably good, right? It's a 2 cost 2/2 that gives you a gear, and then you've got potential upside with evolve. The only thing is, in this deck or this style, your normal evolves are normally saved for like Miranda or Alouette, of course. So maybe this is like too much, but maybe, you know, having more gears is always a good thing. So I think I'll put this as a 2 out of 5. I don't think it's mind-blowing, but maybe if there's a world where you need more gear generation, this just makes the cut. And finally, neutral. Odin, Twilight Fate. I'm pretty sure you will see this card very often in the near future. 7 cost 4/2 legendary. It has Storm and Fanfare. Select an enemy card on the field and banish it. This means I believe it's the first amulet interaction we can get, or at least for enemy amulets, where you can banish those, you can banish followers, and this is huge, right? You can just nope a card, its last words won't do anything because it's banished, not destroy, and it had storms. You can just nope a taunt and then super evolve this and push 7. Odin's going to be popular. I'm giving this a 5 out of 5, honestly, because I just don't see a world where this isn't busted. So yeah, I think this is going to be super popular. think it's going to be 5 out of 5. And just like that, those are all the cards that at least have been officially, you know, all official translations and such on the Shadowverse website. I'm looking forward to checking out more, and of course the expansion coming out in a few days. I will be streaming it on Twitch as well as YouTube, of course, so make sure to hang out. But yeah, let me know what you thought of my scores. No doubt everyone will disagree and say I'm wrong. But yeah, let me know if you agree. Let me know if I was very wrong on anything or very right on anything in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching the video. I'll see you next time.